This is an odd day. When I set out, it was raining. I walked through the centre of Cardiff and it was bright sunshine. I was melting. And now I'm down here at Barry, and as you can see, it's cloudy again. Odd start to a video, I have to say. But I'm here at Barry Docks. There's Barry Island, and this one is Barry Docks. And I'm here for a very good reason. Because Barry Dock is quite symbolic, because you cannot talk about the Barry Railway without talking about Barry Docks, because the two very much go hand in hand. As I've mentioned before, in the late 19th century, a group of mine owners was meeting in the Houses of Parliament complaining about tolls charged to get their coal into Cardiff Docks, and also the backlog that was happening and the fact the Buttes were very reluctant to build a new dock. Among them was David Davis, the owner of Ocean Collieries, about 7 different collieries across the South Wales coalfield. And someone made a chance remark to him, "I don't know why you just don't build your own dock." And that planted a seed of thought, which basically transformed exactly where I'm standing here. Now, Davis started talking to other people. He was no stranger to parliamentary process. He was a Liberal politician as well as being a successful Welsh industrialist. He started talking to John Corley. He started talking to Lord Windsor, who later became the Earl of Plymouth. And they started hunting around to try and find a place where they could build a dock. The Taff Vale were busy developing Penarth, so they came further down the Vale to a small, insignificant little village called Barry. And there they decided was going to be the future for them. In 1884, they won their parliamentary approval. And this image shows them the ceremonial spade digging the first sod in what would become quite impressive dock. As you can see from these images, it grew and got bigger. But you can have a dock, and it's over there. But you need a railway to service, otherwise it's useless. And so they set out surveying and building a line. So the first main line was built from Barry up towards Pontypridd. They connected at Treforest with the Taff Vale, that got them into Merthyr and the Dare valleys, and then pushed forward up to Trefhavod, where they were able to connect again to the Taff Vale and enter the Rhondda Valley. They needed a few engineering works on the way. There's a tunnel at Wenbo, there was a viaduct at what we today call Colfare's Cross, and there was another one at Pontypridd to get into Trefhavod. There were transshipment sidings as well, and the ones today at Trefhavod are called Barry Sidings Country Park. A lot of confusion when you say we're going to Barry Sidings, because they think we're coming down here, whereas actual fact we're right up there in the Rhondda Valley. In 1887, a company called the Vale of Glamorgan Railway was set up to tap into the Limphy and the Ogmore Valley mines. And the Barry Railway were involved from day one. They were involved in underwriting the project, and they operated the railway straight away. The biggest structure on the line was this viaduct. It is still in use today, and it's quite a spectacular structure. There were some issues. One of the piers began to sink, and if you look at this map, you can see the deviation they had to take to avoid the viaduct. Very slow and very tortuous, but eventually they fixed it and the line opened, and again ran successfully. The next target was to link up with the London North Western Railway up towards Dowlas. And to do so, that would link into the Rhymney Valley and access some of the coal there. But they had a bit of a challenge on their hands to get there. Yes, they managed to get running rights over the Taff Vale Railway and the Rhymney Railway to get so far. But in reality, if they wanted to run their own trains to their own schedule and their own timetable, they needed their own line. They obtained powers to build a 7-mile line coming off at their own one near St Fagans and to head over towards Caerphilly. To do so, they had to get over the gap at Nantgarrow. Now, I should explain, there was already the Taff Vale Railway going through here. The Rhymney Railway was connecting to that. There was a tramway, the Penturk and Melon Griffiths, and a canal, and the Taff Vale, the River Taff, I should say, itself. So, I think, as I said somewhere before, they literally went over the top. and they built Walnut Tree Viaduct. Now, I've done a video on the viaduct. It's been featured on Vanished Wales, and we're not going to go into too much details, except let's chuck a couple of photos of it, because it was quite a spectacular structure. Having reached Penrhos, just west of Caerphilly, they could go no further. They didn't have any more running rights over the Rhymney Valley, and so it was all about transshipment, but that wasn't what they wanted. And so they teamed up with the Brecon and Merthyr Railway that were on the other side of the Rhymney Valley, and built a deviation line, and in doing so built 3 more viaducts, one at Penrhos, one at Penroyal, and one at Llanbradach. Again, I've featured all 3 in another video, and the remains of the Llanbradach Viaduct especially can be seen today. And as for the one at Penrhos, well, I go there and eat sandwiches. I really need to get my drone down there and do some footage. The cost was massive. It cost over $500,000 to get these viaducts in and to link up to the Brecon and Merthyr. And in the end, they really didn't achieve their goal as such. Yes, they got into the Rhymney Valley. They got coal out of the various different collieries up there. And a lot of it got shipped across those 3 viaducts, across Walnut Tree and down here to Barry. However, their dream to get up to Dowlas was kind of thwarted slightly because of some issues between the Brecon and Merthyr and the Rhymney at Bargoed and up towards Darren and Derry. And whereas they had running rights over each other's lines, it didn't include the Barry. And so they never really did get up to hook up to the London North Western. Despite that, they were extremely successful. They built a station at Barry Island, and the resort there is developed because of the Barry Railway. They built a tunnel beyond that station and had passenger steamers on the Bristol Channel. Though they weren't hugely successful, it was all part of the package that they offered. They ran excursions from the valleys across Walnut Tree Viaduct down here to Barry Island. Locomotive-wise, most of their locos were built by Chart Stewart and later Vulcan Foundry. They included 060 tank engines used for shunting. But they also had the Welsh favourite, the 062, especially the K, the B and the B1 classes. They also had more unusual locomotives, 064s built by Hawthorne Leslie, as well as an 082 tank. For heavy freight, Chart Stewart supplied 080 Class Ds. These had smaller tenders, so they could fit on the turntables, but that in turn very much limited their range. At grouping, because obviously they had their own dock, they became a component part of the new GWR. And at the height, they had 114 locomotives in operation. They were a very successful railway. Today, what's left is the lines from Barry Island up as far as Cogan, and of course the line out to the Vale of Glamorgan. Now, Barry Docks has been redeveloped, like a lot of docks have around the place. And what was the entrance to the dock over there is now surrounded by houses. You can see over the way, I just press the zoom in, these are the piers on which there were coal stays that would have dumped coal into the waiting ships. Over the way stands the proud offices of the Barry Railway, with the motif BR, standing for Barry Railway and Barry Docks. There are remnants of the railway all over, and I'm hoping in the next year or so to go out and start tracing a few more bridges and possibly have a look into Wenvoe Tunnel and see what's down there, and pay 1 or 2 visits to people as well, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, again, trying to do a railway as complex and as sizable as the Barry in 10 minutes has been very, very tricky, but giving it a good go. So please, if you want to see more, like and subscribe down there, and until next time.